Okay, well, we better not keep this man waiting. We get some big names on this show, Jared. None bigger, I don't think, than this man. 6-time Best and Fairest winner, 6-time All-Australian, 8-time leading goal kicker, 350-plus games for Fremantle. And I reckon, Jared, he might be, well, if he's not the number one name here in Perth, he's got to be in the top three.
Well, Cowboy's certainly number one right at the present time. But
well, let's go straight to him, shall we? Matthew Pavlich, welcome to Sports Day.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Sam.
Well, I want to get down to basics because we had this debate off air before we came on, Pav.
Don't go here, there, Jerry.
Is Basil the second biggest name in Perth behind the Cowboy? Because I'm not saying he's not, but I know he's the mayor, but salary cap isn't our second biggest name. And I know Basil's got a pretty impressive...
You can't compare them,
He's got
Jared.
a very impressive suite of media platforms. So if you had to exclude yourself, Pav, if you had to give me your 1, 2 and 3 of the biggest personalities in Perth, who would they be?
Well, right now, Mark McGowan,
He's
easily number one.
Yep, the Cowboy.
He's number one, the Cowboy, yeah. Baz, yeah, he's up there, but I'm not entirely sure how popular some of his recent decision-making is, particularly around the Wacker pool and some other things to do with his city. So he's across lots of platforms, you're right, the radio and the TV and a few other things. But who else are we going for that? Should we... go on. Optus Stadium's probably got bigger profile than anything else at the moment.
Well, Glenn Jakovich has just texted in. He's actually put his own name up.
Oh, Jacko.
Jacko would put his name up. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not, though.
Pav, what about Nick Nat? He can't walk down the street in Perth, surely.
Yeah, good one.
Nick Nat and Firefy are the two. Nick Nat probably more so just because he's so visible, how big a specimen that he is, and he stands out. But no, you're right. All those you mentioned are definitely getting a vote over here at the moment.
Where would the coaches come in? Would they be in the top dozen?
Simo probably would be, only because he's been around for quite some time and had success there. Justin Longmuir, I think, could probably... I mean, he's becoming more recognisable given the fact that he's been in the job for a couple of seasons now. But I think he could probably get around some of Perth without too much fanfare. He flies under the radar, and he's still developing, I guess, his craft in terms of his media appearance and those things as well. So he could probably get around a bit better than certainly some of the players could.
Right, let's get into the footy, Pav, because it's going to be a huge few weeks here in Perth. Did you ever think you'd see the day? I mean, you led Fremantle to a grand final in 2013, but of course the build-up was around the MCG, as it always has been. What's the vibe going to be like in this town the next couple of weeks?
Oh, the vibe's it's already humming. You can sense it everywhere you go. People are talking about it. It's incredibly exciting for people over here in Western Australia. I mean, I get the fact that the Victorian government and the AFL have done a deal. I know it's a long-term deal, but I'm an advocate of actually taking the AFL Grand Final on a tour anyway and bringing it to stadiums like Optus Stadium, Adelaide Oval, taking it to the SCG, the Gabba. We saw that happen last year. I know it's unlikely, and I know all the reasons, commercially and economically, why the AFL have done the deal, but I love the idea. Like they do in the Super Bowl, yes, we're different to America, I know that, but taking it on tour, I think, has got some real opportunity, and maybe every second year it goes away from the MCG. But the build-up here is going to be enormous, and it's only going to get greater after we know who the two teams are playing on come Saturday night.
And Pav, Western Australians have supported it this year. I mean, the Dreamtime game, Richmond and Essendon, was sold out. Friday night, prelims sold out. So the public is well and truly getting behind it over there.
I mean, forever it's been a huge football state. I think everyone knows that, how passionate they are about their football here in Western Australia. And you're right, Richo, they showed it at the Dreamtime game here at Optus. Passionate supporters for both Freo and West Coast, but sold out within hours this prelim against with Melbourne and Geelong, and you can only imagine the demand that once the AFL, once the GF tickets go on sale, it's just going to go through the roof, and there's going to be it's going to be a great festival in around the Burswood Peninsula and all the various restaurants and bars and cafes. It's going to be a huge build up over what will be 2 weeks, given the fact that there'll be that week off in between the prelims and the GF.
Can you explain the week off? Because it seems to have no real function to me. I mean, obviously there's the upside if somebody gets concussed, but I mean, I don't think that's a reason to delay what has been the crescendo to a very difficult year.
Yeah, look, I mean, I guess they've just got that up the sleeve if there is any issue with COVID, Jared. We know in the past games have been shut down within a matter of hours here in Western Australia. So does that change that? I'm not sure. Maybe does it allow them to get the teams here, quarantine, get settled, do a normal preparation, and not have the risk of COVID hanging over their head potentially? Maybe that's why they've got it up the sleeve. I don't actually mind it anyway. In terms of, people talk about this pre-finals bye. I've never been an advocate for that, but I have been an advocate come the big dance and that's again sort of playing into this Super Bowl notion of taking the grand final on tour, getting a big festival in that city, a huge build-up, allow people time to get here, economic bonus for that state and that city to get lots of people from interstate in the future. This is outside of COVID times, and maybe there's something the AFL are looking at with regard to that.
Yeah, look, I think one of the great things is we're going to see it and we're going to experiment. I reckon if the COVID was such an issue, you're probably better off bringing it forward and then having the week up your sleeve if, in fact, it does get shut down. But I like the notion of seeing whether or not it works. Richo, what's your stance on it?
Yeah, I'm a little bit like you, Jared. My thinking has always been, there's so many obstacles this year. We need to get it done because we don't want, any more hiccups. But I see Pav's point down the track in the future. I'm with Pav. The pre-finals bye is a nonsense for the teams that finish in the top four. It actually hinders your top four.
I think that's gone.
Yeah, that's gone. But, we'll see how it works down the track. There's been a lot of other news surrounding Western Australia at the moment. Pav, and Robert Murphy's coming over to join your old club. What did you think of that?
Oh, look, it's fantastic, Richo. It's a great appointment from the Dockers. Bob, we all know very well personally, both from playing against him, but also more personally through various other engagements over the years. And he's a great person, great character, and was clearly influential at the Bulldogs in around their premiership success. And what they're still seeing now, he and others have left a good legacy there at the football club. So a great appointment. He obviously reconnects and reunites with Matthew Boyd and also Simon Garlick, who are at Fremantle now. And I think Peter Bell and Justin Longmuir, you think about some of those names and the character of those people, really strong characters, and they're very impressive at what they do. So, another addition to what he's shaping as a good group of people that is leading a young Dockers team.
Matthew Pavlich is our guest on Sports Day with Jared Healy and Matthew Richardson. Matthew, I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions about the Blues. I know you can't say much given that the review has been done and dusted. But firstly, the majority of all business people would be paid and well paid for their work. Do you know if the money that you and your reviewers were paid went into the footy soft cap? And also, having gone through the experience now, which was pretty exhaustive, would you do it again?
I've done a couple of these now, Sam. I did one 18 months or so ago with Adelaide, and now the Carlton one. Both different in some ways, but the process and the methodology doesn't differ too much. I certainly don't want to be known as someone who does as a serial reviewer. So happy to potentially put the cue on the rack after this one. But with regard to your first point, I think that's probably something for Carlton to make comment on if they ever want to.
Do you think they missed a trick, the Blues, in not appointing Ross Lyon?
Again, it's sort of hard to remove myself from the review and comment specifically about Ross. All I can say is, in terms of what I did throughout that, or what we did as a review panel, but what I will say is my personal view is that Ross is a great AFL coach, very, very strong tactically, very strong with empowering his playing group, and the best one that I had. But, again, I want to separate my personal view from the job we did as a review team. So, and we certainly did that. Our process has now been done and dusted for quite some time.
Is Lachie Neale worth more than one first rounder?
I haven't actually gone through the machinations of what that would look like, Jared. I mean, he's 29, a Brownlow medalist coming back to the club. That'd be silly not to get the job done. Is he worth two first rounders? I don't know. What do you think? Is he worth? Is he worth? I mean, this is something that both Fremantle and Brisbane would be mulling over right now. I'm not sure. I'm not sure he is, but they'd want it. They want to get him back.
I think history shows you don't give away more than one first rounder. I don't know any. I think there's probably only been maybe one that has justified it to a degree, but 1 for 1. I mean, your pick 6 may end up being as good a player as Lachie Neale in 3 years' time. So you got to be careful by giving away 2 and 3. Tim Kelly hasn't proved to be the elixir. Dylan Shield hasn't been proved to justify that. So it's a challenge. Hopefully they get it done and everybody ends up a winner, because at the present time it's everyone's a loser.
And what about Adam Cerra? What are you hearing there, Pav?
Yeah, well, I think that maybe this is, and who knows exactly where he's going. It sounds like it's a Carlton-Melbourne race at this point in time for Adam Cerra's services, unless another Melbourne team comes to the party. But, don't know. I mean, and is there some way that the Cerra deal gets caught up with Brisbane and Fremantle? I doubt it, but, there's always those potentials and things to play out come the trade period. I know they're bitterly disappointed that they're losing someone they put 4 years into. They rate really highly, and they're going to pay, and they would have paid really well. So they'll want decent compensation for that one.
Sounds like the Blues pick 6 will be the minimum involved in that. Pav, as we let you go, a grand final winner and a Norm Smith, if you'd be so kind.
Oh wow! Okay, before the prelims, I like it.
Oh yeah.
Look, I think it's going to be a Melbourne Port GF. I'm just sticking with the teams that have had the week off and are able to kind of train and get ready for it, particularly Port on their home deck. I think Melbourne are going to break their drought, and I'm going to go with let's go with Petrarca only because he's in such great form.
And I know you won't sleep unless you unless you hear the final list, Pav. So we've come in with Cowboy number 1, Nick Nat number 2. I've slipped your good self in at number 3, Fife
ahead
number
of Basil.
4, Basil 5, and Jack O'Dan with the also Rens.
Where's Optus Stadium? I guess it's not a person. You're going for personalities. Optus Stadium has its own
Optus Stadium is over
mate.
the top. It's even bigger than the Cowboys. So we're just going personalities. Good on you, Pav, and have a great couple of weeks.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
The Fremantle great himself, Matthew Pavlich. And Jared, your phone is about to ring. It's going to be one Basil Templis on the other end of it.
He's
not going to be happy with.
He's 5. That's pretty good. I didn't know he'd stuffed up the pool. What's he done there?
Basil used to walk around the boundary line at Subiaco when he was commentating, and it was like the Queen walking around the boundary line.
Not the King.
I think
he had a royal wave, a Basil wave he had.
Basil would be the only person in the country when the grand final comes to his own state and the AFL asks him to host the official function, he thinks, maybe. He'd be the only person that could afford to say, I don't know.
I reckon
maybe.
we need to get Basil on next week.
I think we should get him on right now.
Head-to-head with the Basil. We'll get his list.
Let's take a break on Sports Day. More with Richo, including Yes No after this.